Studio. Oh, she don't even know my name, but I think she loves me just the same. Studio. Do 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 do. Oh, do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati.
All right. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. If you're new, I want to let you know that Sabs podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays for the Sabby and JB show, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. I want to give a shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitter, and Rumble. And welcome back, guys. We're about to head on into the weekend. Yeah. We got a lot to cover. There's a lot of news that's happening right now. So I have 5 stories for you. I tried to mix it up a little bit. I didn't want to just do the same stories that everybody else is doing. So hopefully you learned something out of tonight's show. Tonight's theme is, isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious? Isn't it? Isn't it? It's interesting. There was a song by Alanis Morissette back in the day called Isn't It Ironic? And I think our teachers really hated that song because they continued to tell us that Alanis Morissette was not using the word ironic correctly. I think people remember. I think some of you guys remember that song. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to get into tonight. I want to go ahead and start out by giving shout outs to people in the chat fam. What is going on? Major Repugnant says, don't forget X. I see you. Shout out to the X people as well. Greetings, John says, Holocaust Harris. Damn. What's up, foolish coyote? It's not about the Democratic candidates, honestly. It's their woeful, heavily watered down, compromised, out of touch policies that Americans disapprove of. Interesting. Shout out to Lucille, says Sabby. I hope you're satisfied that Kamala is out. No more negatives about her. Better still buy her book so you'll be more informed about her. Yeah, I'm not buying the book. Uh, but we're going to get into it tonight because I don't think she's quite done. I think she's moving on to something else that I'll get into. Shout out to Blockbuster says, hi. Greetings, Nikos. Nikos, what's going on? Thank you for the super chat. Nico says, one, I can stand with left politics like Gaza, but on culture, I will always oppose you. I have depression. The only things that gave me joy were movies, TV shows, music. The left destroyed culture. And thank you for this one as well. Two, you injected your progressive BS into every franchise. You took everything we loved, and I'll never forgive you for it. So, no, I will not agree with an insane person like Mark Hill, who's offended by Sydney's ad. Okay, I think you mean Mark Lamont Hill. So I'm not sure what Mark Lamont Hill has to do with this. But I would hope you are differentiating between liberals and the left, because liberals are not left. And Mark Lamont Hill is not liberal. So I don't know why he's brought into this, but I will just say that I'm sorry that you have depression. And I'm sorry you feel that left destroyed culture. But I think I think that there are some things that have happened in the entertainment realm of things that has kind of pushed people away and kind of rub people the wrong way. But I don't want you to feel like that's the entirety of the left, right? So I think a lot of those complaints often come from liberals. Shout out to Cup of Joy. Lucille, the more informed about her is acknowledging what a grifter she has always been and owned by Israel. Her treatment of Black families in California is unforgivable. Her Zionist stance on Palestine, no. Shout out to Bill, says, I haven't looked besides a thumbnail, but the American Eagle ad reminds me of the old Kate Moss Calvin Klein ad from the 90s. What's the big deal? We'll get into it, Bill. We'll get into it. Shout out to Damali, says, good. Kamala Harris and her family should move to Washington State or Nevada. Run for mayor or governor there. 2030. She needs a break from negative and deadly politics. Interesting. I wonder why you pick Washington State and Nevada. Shout out to Franklin, says AOC is the next president. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. Shout out to Mumu. Kamala should have named her book, I'm Speaking, Trying to Lose an Election with No Grace or Style. But hey, at least we have a genocide in Liz Cheney. Ooch. Thank you. CBC Voter says, happy Thursday, Sabby and Eric. Red. And shout out to Little Wisdom says, we'll be here for Sabby. Greetings, Hannah says, I'm early. Shout out to my comrade JB. Hello, everyone. I love how everybody is like, where's Jill Stein when she's actually doing work on the ground, but they never ask, where's Kamala? Harris only comes around when she needs money. Damn. Greetings, Patty says, libs ain't the left, Nikos. They're centrists. Shout out to C. Shata says, hey, Sabby. Greetings, Arcane sends love. And shout out to, I think we said hi to John. It's cold in New England today. Yeah, the weather like totally changed. Totally changed. It's kind of humid where I am. Greetings, Nikki says, free Chris Smalls. Yes. So from what I understand, Chris Smalls is supposed to arrive in Newark Friday morning, early Friday morning. So he is on his way back. Thank you. Nomadic says, Destiny Child, move aside. We got Sabby on the mic. I can't sing like them. Thank you. Kinman said, I love Sabby. I love you too. Shout out to Mary Beth says, JB 100%. Greetings Atoli says, evening, everyone. James Green says, hi, Sabby. Eric, much appreciated. And greetings. Kathia says, excited for this episode. To the next episode. La-di-da-di-da. We're going back to 90s hip hop. 90s hip hop is my favorite. In my opinion, I think it was the best. But I'm biased. Yeah. It's nostalgia. Thank you, Mark, for the super chat. Sabby, I live about 12 miles from Rutherford. I guess I'll have to go. Oh, I'd love to see you there. Yeah, I'd love to see you at Icarus Fest. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to the date. I'll be in New Jersey with Katie Halper, Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, the whole like Gray Zone crew for a panel discussion. So that should be great. And thank you for the super chat, Roger. Sab, that job I told you about finally came through. Well, congratulations, Roger. Everyone give Roger a big congratulations. And shout out to Kufunya for the super sticker. Okie dokie. All righty then. What are we going to discuss tonight, ladies and gentlemen? What are we talking about? First and foremost, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the patrons and we'll get into that thumbnail. Yeah, congratulate Roger, man. It's tough out here in these streets. I know people that have been laid off and they've been looking for jobs for months. So shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. You out here doing the damn thing. If you're interested in being a patron, I have 5 categories. Ultimate, Sabinators. There's a group called Sabsters as well. Don't forget about those Sabbies. And of course, we also have members. All of their names are listed here. And you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the ticker, ladies and gents. Ladies and gents, I want to give a shout out to new Sabby patrons. Over here, we call them newbies. Let's give it up for CM and Margaret Western. Thank you. Thank you so much. Margaret Western. Western, not Eastern. Yeah. Tonight's theme, ladies and gentlemen, is Isn't It Obvious? Is it? We shall see. What are we talking about? Let's go ahead and show you that thumbnail, ladies and gents. Tonight, we are discussing, if you have not heard now, Kamala drops out. Yes, she's out. She's out. She is no longer running for governor of California. But I'm going to tell you what I think that really means. So we're going to get into predictions here. We're also going to discuss, if you haven't heard about this, the American Eagle ad controversy. The woman there in the pink rectangle, her name is Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney, she's an actress and a producer. And apparently this American Eagle ad that she was recently in is causing a lot of controversy, and everybody's talking about it. I'm going to give you the advertising perspective of this as someone who has created ads. I've created ads for projects when I was an undergrad in the past. So I'm going to tell you what this is actually doing and what that means for American Eagle, because I think people feel like this is going to be a kick in the stomach to American Eagle, but it's not. I'm going to explain to you how this is actually helping American Eagle. We're also going to discuss, this is a big story. Senate Democrats, majority of Senate Democrats vote to block aid to Israel. But what was that aid? We're going to get into a little bit more of the specifics. You see Bernie Sanders there. He was the one that brought that forward. But at the same time, Bernie is getting criticism because he is not willing to call this a genocide. So Bernie's getting a praise on one end, and then he's getting criticism at the same time because these two things are happening simultaneously. I'm going to tell you who those senators were that did not vote to block that aid to Israel and what we should do about it, because I think all of these people need to lose their seats. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to discuss, this one is not good for Dr. Umar. So Dr. Umar loses funds. We're going to get into this eerie video that Dr. Umar posted on social media claiming that he is blocked out of all of his accounts. So we'll get into that. And what do we really think about it? Where's that damn school? We're going to get into all of this, you guys. I don't think that people are feeling sympathetic for him in the way that you would assume. And we'll get into what people are saying about it. And last but not least, this is another one, Donald Trump's Epstein remark. And it's interesting, Donald Trump choosing to say, oh, these files are not around or whatever. I told you guys this Epstein story was not going to go away so quickly. But Donald Trump choosing to say, oh, there's nothing there. But he keeps on saying things that allude that there is something there. Like every time he's questioned about this, he's actually making things worse for himself. So we will get into all of that, ladies and gents. First and foremost, if you have not done so, go ahead and smash that like button. Thank you. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. We're going to keep it moving and keep it grooving around here, folks. And we're going to go ahead and get into the very first story. So, yeah, I don't know who is really advising Donald Trump right now at this point, but I find it interesting that he's saying things about Jeffrey Epstein without a lawyer present. And it's almost as if the more he talks about Jeffrey Epstein, the worse it looks for his administration. And that is because you can't 1 minute say, we're going to release these files. Pam Bondi's got the files on her desk. Then you come back and say, oh, nope, nothing to see here, folks. No files, no videos, none of that doesn't even exist. Let's just keep it moving. And now Donald Trump has released another damning statement that once again shows just how close he was to Jeffrey Epstein. Check this out. Let's go into this clip here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I can't believe he said this without a lawyer. Well, actually, first, let's go to this one first. Let's go to what Jeffrey Epstein said when he was questioned about his relationship with Donald Trump, and then we'll get to Donald Trump's statement. Listen to this.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Newton, have you ever had a personal relationship?
Okay, so we'll stop that there. So I just wanted to play that back just to remind everybody what Jeffrey Epstein said when he was questioned about his relationship with Donald Trump. You know, yeah, well, I have a relationship with him, but once he was questioned about the ages of the girls and if there was any involvement there, all of a sudden he wanted to plead the 5th, right? That's important because now Donald Trump is making a statement again. I can't believe he said this. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can't believe he said this without a lawyer present. Listen to what he said in a recent interview.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. Just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them young women? Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young
Yeah.
women. What did they do?
In the spa.
Jobs in the spa.
Yeah, it's people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him.
Pause. So here is Donald Trump telling you that Jeffrey Epstein took girls out of his spa at Mar-a-Lago and hired them to go work with him, apparently on Epstein Island. Now, this confirms what Virginia Giuffre said before in previous interviews, but it is very damning that Donald Trump would say this without a lawyer present after he said there's nothing to be seen there in the files. Now, again, it's like every time he talks, it just goes to show you just how close he was to Jeffrey Epstein. So also, why wasn't this said previously? Why wasn't this mentioned before? It's just, I don't know. But if it were me, like, if I was representing someone and they were in this situation, I wouldn't want them to speak without having me as their lawyer present on this particular situation. But it's like the more he says, the more he keeps digging that hole. And I don't think that's good. That's good for him. So he's just showing you again. So if you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was taking girls from your spa at Mar-a-Lago, why are you just saying it now? Why is everybody just hearing about it now? And two, he'll later go on to explain that he ended his relationship with him after that. But reporting shows that he ended his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after they were fighting over a beachfront property. And that's what caused the split. So it's like the story just continues to change.
In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. So he admits to the reporters that Jeffrey Epstein stole Virginia Giuffre, which corroborates her story that she gave to Gayle King a while back. I want to take you guys back to that part here. Let's go ahead and bring in this clip.
Virginia, how did you meet her and what was her pitch to you?
I'm working at Mar-a-Lago, loving it. I'm working in the spa area. I was reading about anatomy and massage, and that's when Ghislaine came up to me and said, oh my God, you're reading a book about massage. And, long story short, she told me that she knew of a man who was looking for a traveling masseuse. And if he liked me, then I would get educated and I would become a real massage therapist. So yeah, it was a dream of a lifetime until I got there, and the abuse was immediate.
It has been reported that they would prey on young girls who were vulnerable.
She could smell the vulnerability on a person. I told them a little bit about my past and how I'd been abused. So immediately it was like the Cheshire smile is what I call it. And I asked her, I said, why are you having all these girls come in and sleep with your boyfriend? And she was like, so I don't have to do it all the time. So she made like a joke out of it.
Why do you think she did it?
She did it to keep Jeffrey happy, for sure. She did it because she loves the control over people. Jeffrey was a sick pedophile, but she was the mastermind.
What would justice look like for you when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell?
I would like to see Ghislaine stay in jail forever. I'd like her to apologize for what she's done to me and so many others.
Okay, so Virginia Giuffre there, just to take you back, because she is no longer alive. I think we all know about that story. When I covered that, the media said that she unalived herself. Her family does not believe that she would do that. I honestly don't believe that she would do it either because of the warning that she sent out prior to her death, but she is no longer alive. She here admits, she was working at that spa, just like Donald Trump said in that video as well. Yeah, I think she was one of the ones that was working there. But the point that I'm trying to make is that technically, because Jeffrey Epstein was arrested for like trafficking, sex trafficking, the same thing with Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for sex trafficking. Donald Trump saying that he took girls from his spa, in a way, can't you say that that was used as home base as part of the trafficking? Like, this is why I said I don't understand. Like, why is he speaking this way without an attorney next to him? It's very weird to me, because by saying that, you're basically, he says that he didn't know. He's like, well, I didn't know what was happening at the time, but then I found out about it and da-da-da. But Donald Trump is basically admitting that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking girls from his spa, from his place of business. So that's I'm just shocked that he said that without a lawyer present. Now, I want to take you to another part here, also a little bit more about that spa.
Virginia Roberts was working in the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell introduced her to multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
The training started immediately. I mean, it was everything down to how to give a blowjob, how to be quiet, be subservient, give Jeffrey what he wants.
That woman, who later changed her name to...
So you see that? So again, that was Virginia Giuffre, who, and people were questioning her at that point in time. How do we know she's telling the truth? But then Donald Trump basically corroborates her story and says, yeah, he was taking girls from my spa. And this to me is just, I take a step back and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, seriously, what the hell? So he verbally is admitting that. But a couple weeks ago said there was nothing to see in those files and nothing there, nothing to see, nothing there. Now he has also said something else. He goes on to say a little bit more here about Epstein. Listen to this.
Republican divisions here at home appear to be getting even deeper. Some members of his own Republican Party not only amping up calls to release the so-called Epstein files, but accusing his Trump administration of not delivering on its promises. Listen to this.
We all thought that when Trump was elected, he would be the bull in the china shop and that he would break that up and bring transparency. Frankly, it wasn't until just recently that I realized that people who were allegedly working on this weren't sincere in their efforts.
Part of this problem is that there were some false expectations that are created, and that's a political mistake. I think that, saying that you're going to be able to deliver when you haven't even looked at all of the files and what's available was probably a misstep.
CNN Congress.
So what you're seeing here is this is part of the split. Like Thomas Massie has been very vocal about this. Like, no, you need to release those files. So there seems to be some type of turmoil within like the Trump base, those who want that information released and those that are saying, well, I believe what he says and let's just move on to other things, right? So again, like I told you guys, this is not going away. And for Donald Trump to make that statement and say, yeah, he was taking girls from my spa. And a lot of people are looking around and they're like, why wasn't this mentioned before? So that's important. Two, the other question that some people have is how old were they when they were working at that spa? I don't know. That's something that we'll have to look into. What was the legal age of employment? Now, it varies state by state. In some states, you can start working at the age of 15, right? So if Florida has that law legally, if they were 15, they would have been able to be employed there. So that's another thing that people are looking at. I don't know. But I mean, the whole story to me, it's just getting crazier and crazier because more information is coming out as time goes by. Let's continue on here a little bit.
National correspondent Lauren Fox is here with me in the Situation Room. Lauren, walk us through where things stand now.
Yeah, certainly lawmakers are on this 5-week recess at this point. The speaker clearly wanted to move beyond this last week. And yet Republicans in the House are still talking about this. You hear from Thomas Massie there. You hear from Eric Burlison making clear that they feel like Donald Trump and the Trump administration perhaps has made a political miscalculation when it comes to the promises that were made related to the Epstein files and what they've been able to deliver up to this point. Meanwhile, you have the Speaker of the House who's carefully trying to make sure that he is in the right place with his conference and in the right place with the president. And you can guess that there is a lot of tension there between where he wants to be. He was asked over the weekend what he thought about potentially absolving Ghislaine Maxwell of her crimes. And this is what he said yesterday.
If you're asking my opinion, I think 20 years was a pittance. I think she should have a life sentence at least. I mean, think of all these unspeakable crimes. And as you noted earlier, probably 1,000 victims. I mean, it's hard to put into words how evil this was, and that she orchestrated it and was a big part of it. At least under the criminal sanction, I think is an unforgivable thing. So again, not my decision, but I have great pause about that as any reasonable person would.
Now, the Oversight Subcommittee actually voted on a series of subpoenas last week. Wolf, those subpoenas have not gone out yet. I just checked with the source this morning. So there's a lot of questions over how quickly that process could be moving, even though there is this loud drumbeat in the House Conservative Congress.
Yeah. So the thing is, like I was saying before, is that you're dealing with very powerful people, very rich, powerful people on both political sides of the aisle. So it's not like you can say, well, Jeffrey Epstein he only invited rich people there that believed in this political ideology. This is why, like, when people say, well, why didn't the Democrats release those files? Because it would implicate people that are part of the Democratic Party. That could include politicians, that could include donors, that could include, just billionaires that are over there. We all know Bill Gates was really good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. We saw his wife speak out against the relationship that he had with Jeffrey Epstein. And she said that she met him one time and he made her feel very uncomfortable. From that first time that she met him, she got that feeling, right? So that says something. But you're talking about going after big, big, powerful people. And I was trying to find the part here where he said, let's make sure I go on a little bit here, where Donald Trump did say that. Here it is. Okay, here's some more information that he added. Let me just scoot forward a little bit about Epstein as well. So he keeps adding like fuel to the fire. He keeps saying more stuff. Listen to this.
It's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey. They were run by Garland. They were run by Biden. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. They say there's a drawing of a woman, and I don't do drawings of women. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
It's just like he just keeps saying more and more. And that's why I said, like, where is the lawyer? Like, wouldn't a lawyer advise you against speaking out about these things without having your attorney like present? Right now, Bill Clinton, I don't think that surprises any of us. We've seen pictures of Bill Clinton on the internet with a girl who obviously wasn't Hillary, who did look younger. We've all seen, I think a lot of us have seen that picture. But the reality is, like, sometimes the more you talk, the worse you look, the more guilty you look. He said, I didn't go on that island in that conversation multiple times. And he said, Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. But Donald Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet 7 times. Did that jet go to that island? I don't know. That's why people want the files released. People want the files released so they can see who actually went on the jet and went to the island. People want to see who were the clients that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were hiring. And the crazy part about it is now some people are calling for the pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell. She's just as guilty. I don't buy this that she just became a victim. I really don't buy it. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell is just as guilty. And you have to remember that she also was in a family in a position of power. Her father was a powerful figure. Her father had connections to the Mossad. So if she wanted out of this type of thing, she could have easily walked out. She was recruiting the girls. If she didn't want to do it, she could have went to her father, who was a very powerful figure at that time. So for me, I sincerely hope that she is not pardoned. And the family of Virginia Giuffre is requesting that as well, not to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. And I don't know what to tell you, you guys. I just think those files need to be released. I don't care who releases it, but the files do need to be released. There are very powerful people being protected. And I don't believe that there was just one Jeffrey Epstein. I believe there are multiple Jeffrey Epsteins. And maybe that's also why they won't release those files. But the story isn't going away, as I predicted. It's so obvious that they're trying to protect powerful people. It's so obvious. Let's go to the comments here in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chris. Kapamala, two-party clowns, Butchware for Governor, California. Thank you, Nia. Sabby, shout out to you. I enjoy your show, and it's such a highlight to my day. Well, thank you, and welcome. Thank you, Orphelia. In honor of Chris Small's release from Israel. Yeah, he'll be in Newark tomorrow, Friday morning. Robert says they all swim in the same swamp. He's draining nothing. Shout out to Wanda USA, who's been a member for 1 month. None of that is Trump's problem. Well, yeah, it is his problem because he said, his administration said they would release the files, and they're not doing that. So that's on him. Thank you, Sylvie. Canadian Canuck here, Sabs. You are doing the damn thing. Thanks to you, Eric, and the team. Love you and keep up the fight. We're watching. Thank you. Thank you so much. And shout out to Miranda Rios, who's been a member for 6 months. What's up? What's up? What's up? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the next story. So something interesting happened. The majority of Senate Democrats voted against sending funding and aid to Israel. Yeah, we'll get into the details, so hold on to your seats. But the majority, it should have been all of them. 27 members voted against sending aid to Israel. Now, that is offensive aid. That does not include defensive. It's important that we break down the details here. Bernie Sanders brought this forward, so he is getting praise for this action while also being criticized for another one simultaneously for not calling this a genocide on CNN. Let's go ahead and get into this, ladies and gentlemen. He said, in U.S. military aid to Israel.
Thanks for joining me. Tonight, I will be using the rules of the Senate to force a vote to immediately end the sale of certain offensive weapons to the extremist and racist Netanyahu government in Israel. Most people agree that Israel had the right to defend itself against the Hamas terrorist attack of October 7th, 2023, when 1,200 innocent Israelis were killed and hundreds were taken hostage.
This is the playbook of Bernie Sanders. Imagine bringing up Hamas at this point in time when you have children that are starving. That is the nod to Israel. That's the nod to Israel that says, I see you. Why are you still bringing this up at this point in time when you're talking about starvation that's happening in Gaza? Bernie Sanders doesn't take money from AIPAC. He's doing this for free.
But in the last 21 months, Israel has not just gone to war against Hamas. It has gone to war against the entire Palestinian population in ways that are not only immoral, but in clear violation of international and U.S. law. In a territory of just over 2 million inhabitants, 60,000 people in Gaza have been killed and over 140,000 wounded since the beginning of this war. Some 60% of that total are women, children, and the elderly, including 14,000 kids.
Notice they're still keeping those numbers intentionally low.
Incredibly, almost 10% of the population of Gaza has been killed or wounded. Further, the physical infrastructure of Gaza has been basically destroyed. More than 90% of the housing has been made uninhabitable. Water systems and wastewater plants are inoperable. Hundreds of schools have been bombed, the healthcare system almost completely wiped out, and there is no electricity. Many of the people in Gaza have been displaced time and time and time again, forced to move from one location to another with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. All of this amounts to one of the worst man-made humanitarian disasters in modern history.
But he still won't call it a genocide. When people have to continue to move like that with, as he said, nothing but the clothes on their backs, that's a displacement. It is, with this particular situation, it is forced displacement. That's what's happening here. He still won't call it a genocide. If 90%, look at it this way, 90% of the housing, he said, has been destroyed. They don't have clean water. Every time they try to go to the aid sites to collect aid, they're facing the possibility of losing their life because the IDF has been ordered to kill them when they come to get the aid. But Bernie Sanders will continue to tell you that this is not a genocide. Let's go on a little bit more and we'll get to that vote.
But if you can believe it, it gets even worse. This spring, for 11 weeks, Israel blocked all humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza. No food, no water, no medicine. Since then, in the last 2 months, due to international pressure, Israel has allowed a trickle of aid in, but nowhere near what is required.
But it's still not a genocide. We're going to stop it here because I can only hear so much of his bullshit, but it's still not a genocide, right? According to Bernie Sanders. If they're not allowing enough aid to get in for people to even live off of, they want the people to die. They're making it so that they won't be able to have enough fuel that they need to continue to live. Now, this was the vote that took place in the Senate. By a vote of 27-14, Senate Democrats voted to stop sending arms shipments to Netanyahu's government, which has waged a horrific, immoral, and illegal war against the Palestinian people. The tide is turning. Americans don't want to spend billions to starve children in Gaza. Now, let me tell you how he's sneaky about this, right? And I'll get to those 17 people and tell you who they are. He's talking about the aid not coming into Gaza, but he's not telling you about the people who are being killed when they go to those aid sites to try to get aid. So the choice for you is stay where you are and starve and hope that you're not bombed, but you'll still die from starvation, or try to go to the aid sites and hope that you're not killed by the IDF trying to get food. You have death on both sides. So what? They're trying to kill you. Now we have 27 Senate Democrats that voted to stop that. Here are the 17. If you recognize any of these individuals as your representatives, I recommend that you contact their office immediately. And I'm telling you right now, do not vote for if you voted for them, don't vote for these people ever again. Bennett, Blumenthal, Booker, we all know that's Cory Booker. I'll get to him. Cantwell, Coons, Cortez Masto, Fetterman, Gillibrand, Hassan, Hickenlooper, Padilla, Peters, Rosen, Schiff, Schumer, Warner, and Wyden. So Chuck Schumer as well. These are the people, the Senate Democrats, that voted to keep sending aid to Israel. Now, I want you to see what the communications director said. You guys got to know, again, this was only for offensive. This did not include defensive, right? So that squirrel is on it. This is Bernie Sanders' communication director. She admits that Bernie Sanders does not support an actual arms embargo and has the exact same position as AOCIA, only symbolically force a vote to stop a tiny, marginal, irrelevant amount of offensive arms while endlessly supplying the vast majority of defensive arms. So to that point, these 17 Democrats couldn't even vote for this weak bill that will still allow defensive aid for Israel. They still wouldn't even vote for that. And I think we know why, right? Because of who is funding them, because of AIPAC. So let's look at what she said, because this is Bernie Sanders' comms director. Tomorrow, Senator Sanders once again force a vote on the floor of the U.S. Senate to block the sale of offensive arms to Israel. So those 17 Democrat senators, they couldn't even support a weak bill to try to hold Israel accountable in some way, shape, or form. And then to make matters even worse, at the same time, this is all happening at once, Bernie Sanders appeared on CNN. And by the way, shout out to everybody who is ratioing him right now. And he said that this is not a genocide. Listen to
Are you at
this.
the point yet where you would call what's happening in Gaza a genocide?
You can use whatever word you want.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's
Well,
the
that's
first
good for
Republican
Marjorie
to go there.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Look, genocide is a legal term. What is going on now clearly is absolutely horrific. 60,000 people dead and 140,000 who have been wounded. But the important point is not what you call it. It is horror. And I think the whole world knows that. The answer is, what the hell do we do about it? Should the United States taxpayer, should your taxpayer dollars go to support a government that is...
Let's go back.
Are you at the point yet where you would call what's happening in Gaza a genocide?
You can use whatever word you want.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's
That's
the
good
first
for
Republican
Marjorie
to go there.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Look, genocide is a legal term. What is going on now clearly is absolutely horrific. 60,000 people dead and 140,000 who have been wounded. But the important point is not what you call it. It is horror. And I think the whole world knows that. The answer is, what the hell do we do about it? Should the United States taxpayer, should your taxpayer dollars go to support a government that is doing it? That is the most important issue. So immediately, you got to get ceasefire, you got to get humanitarian aid in, but the United States cannot continue to aid and abet the Netanyahu government doing what it's doing.
Do you want to see?
Pause. So let me tell you what's going on here. Notice he tried to cut her off when she said the word genocide. I want to tell you, you know why he won't call it a genocide? Because if you call it a genocide, then you have to take action. And he doesn't want to take action against Israel because, again, Bernie Sanders believes that Israel has a right to exist. Bernie Sanders still wants Israel there. He just doesn't want it controlled by Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Bernie Sanders is still a Zionist. And this is the part I think some progressives are struggling with right now at this moment. Because just because you're not taking money from AIPAC doesn't mean you're not a Zionist. I'll show you other examples of this as well. That's why he won't call it a genocide. Legally, if you do that, yes, you have to take action. Let's finish this part here.
United States personnel on the ground helping distribute aid? I mean, what is another scenario here, do you think?
The United Nations has done, under very difficult circumstances, a good job until they were kicked out by Netanyahu. So I would like to bring them back, and I think they're prepared to come back.
Yeah, man. So people are like roasting him for this. I'll show you here so you can see part of it. Dan said he doesn't want to call it a genocide because under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, U.S. member states are required to act and stop genocide and punish the perpetrators. Bernie Sanders does not want Israel to be punished. That's why he is not going to call it a genocide. If you look at some of the comments here, I said Bernie is controlled opposition. I'll get to that in just a second. Butch Ware said Zionist BS on his Zionist BS again. Z Squirrel goes after him, said there's no other context where Bernie Sanders would dare deny genocide that has been recognized as such by Amnesty, Human Rights Watch, the UN, etc. Jesse Jett says, put one of his songs here. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark. And he says, not me, us, as he gestures to the oligarchs. Blakely said, imagine still denying it's a genocide at this late fucking date. Natalie said, genocide is a legal term because it has legal consequences. That's what the hell you should do about it, Bernie Sanders. Anyway, I can go on and on and on, but there are a number of people who are ratioing him for that. So the vote that took place on the Senate floor, he is excited that the majority of Democrat senators voted against sending offensive aid to Israel. I believe that's the first time that has happened, or either the first time it's happened in a long time. But from what I understand, a first time that this is like a big deal that people are talking about here. But I want to show you this video as well, just to remind you again, even here, Bernie Sanders says Russia and China are committing genocide. None of the major human rights organizations have determined that. Yet for his precious Israeli death cult, he pretends he's a genocide purist, as every major human rights org has recognized it. I want to remind you guys of this video here.
A little bit queasy, what genocide? You got to be careful about that word.
It is a genocide.
What's your definition of genocide?
Bernie, you have funded Zionism yourself. You have funded the Israeli settler state. Here you are, pretending you aren't. It is disgusting. Liar, liar, genocide denier. Liar, liar, genocide denier. It's disgusting. It is reprehensible. You are a child killer.
Yeah, so that was last year. So he's been doing this for quite some time. There's also the video from 2015 that went viral that showed Bernie Sanders telling one of his own constituents to shut up after they asked about what about the Palestinians. That was prior to October 7th, but his response to them was to shut up. This is why I say Bernie Sanders is controlled opposition. Let's go on here. Here was another one. Just minutes ago, over 21 months into an ongoing genocide that he refuses to recognize, Bernie Sanders stood up in the Senate and said, Hamas started this war. See, watch this.
Hamas is a terrorist organization which began this war with a brutal terrorist attack on October 7th, 2023, that killed 1,200 innocent Israelis and took 250 hostages.
You see how he's still giving the wink and the nod to Israel? Imagine talking about like Israel right now when you have Palestinians that are starving. People in Israel aren't starving. Israel is deliberately starving Palestinian people, and they're trying to kill them when they go to get aid. And imagine starting off with, well, Hamas started all this. No, they didn't. Hamas didn't. Did Hamas start the Nakba in 1946? This is the same person who marched with Dr. King. This is what I was saying before. I'm tired of people coming to me saying, well, he marched with Dr. King. That was in the past. I'm looking at what you're doing today. And there are many of them out there that are like Bernie. I marched with King. I was out in the streets protesting. I was around for the civil rights movement. I participated. That's great. But what are you doing right now? Why is Bernie Sanders trying to protect his precious Israel so much? And he's not alone. All those other people, all the 17 Democrats that would not vote for this, a lot of them are captured by AIPAC, by the Israeli lobby. But Bernie Sanders, who's supposed to be the progressive, who's supposed to be against this type of action, why is he trying so hard to protect Israel? Why is he so hesitant to say that it's a genocide?
Everyone agrees with that. The International Criminal Court was right to indict the leaders of Hamas as war criminals for those atrocities. And I think most of us agree with that. There is also, I believe, no disagreement as to whether or not Israel, like any other country similarly attacked, had a right to defend itself. Clearly, it did.
Again, had a right to defend itself. So who's controlling Bernie Sanders at this point in time? This is the guy who ran around the country 2 election cycles in a row that said he was starting a political revolution, but he can't call Israel out for committing a genocide right before our very eyes. This is the guy that was going to change the electoral politics system. This is the guy that many of you, including myself, canvassed for, phone banked for, donated money to, supported, got really excited about some type of change. This the same person? This is what I mean when I say that Bernie Sanders is controlled opposition. Bernie Sanders, people like him and people like AOC, yeah, they support progressive policies. They support policies that are for the working class. But the policies are not radical politic. And we need to talk about this for a second. There is a difference between let's try to work with the establishment and make changes that way and calling for a radical politic that is greatly going to transform this country and improve lives for working class people. There's a big difference between the two. And what you notice is that at the end of the day, come general election, Bernie Sanders is going to tell you to go with the corporate establishment Democrat that is going to implement all those things that he told you to fight back against. That's controlled opposition. You come in to make people think that you are going to provide something to the left of the Democratic Party. But if you don't win and you don't get there, you take that energy and you funnel it into the corporate establishment part of the Democratic Party, which is the majority of it, and it keeps people where they are. That's why we don't get progress. That's controlled opposition. You're not going to get progress if you're not willing to fight back against the establishment, and that includes establishment within the Democratic Party. So if you tell people to join said establishment, no win there. But it's not just him. Cory Booker went on this large rant just the other day talking about the hunger, witnessing the catastrophic hunger and suffering of civilians, especially children, women, the sick, and the elderly in Gaza has been heartbreaking. The crisis in Gaza must be met with an immediate and drastic surge in life-saving resources, such as desperately needed food, water, and medicine, including therapeutic foods for those suffering from malnutrition. It is our collective moral duty to ensure that humanitarian relief reaches those who need it most urgently. Cory Booker says nothing in this essay about the people being killed when they go to seek the food. And that's because Cory Booker is an AIPAC shill. AIPAC shill. This is just an act. Cory Booker did not vote for that legislation to block offensive aid to Israel. He was one of the 17 that didn't vote for it. He's friends with Rabbi Shmuley. This is another one I've been telling people for a while. This guy is bought and paid for. Yet he put on this theater just the other day.
The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client, why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes.
And I see Cory Booker bending the knee towards Donald Trump when he still supports Israel, knowing that they're committing a genocide. I see him bending the knee to Donald Trump when he supports sending aid to Israel that, to his point, won't go to New York, won't go to New Jersey. Cory Booker does the same thing on different issues. But Cory Booker is very corporate and establishment. He's not out there trying to really make a change for working class people. He's bought and paid for too. So every now and then, when a Donald Trump is in office, he gets on the Senate floor to put on this performance of sorts. He turns into an actor. It's all an act. Everyone's brave and bold when the opposition is in the White House. There is no bravery when it's your party that's in the White House. But this is a complete act.
That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear...
But you won't even stand up against genocide. He feels the Democratic Party needs to draw some lines. If you can't draw a line at genocide, you have no red lines.
God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that were agreed with? When are we going to stand together?
You didn't stand together with the majority of the Democrat senators that voted against sending offensive aid to Israel.
If we don't stand as Democrats, we deserve to lose. But if we stand united, if we stand strong, if we stand with other people, if we tell with a chorus of conviction in America what this president is doing is wrong, if we stand up and speak that way, dear God, we will win. Like all of those people that are ancestors who joined hands together and said, we shall overcome. No, not on my watch. I'm protecting Jersey today. I'm protecting our Constitution today.
So now it's all about back to we shall overcome. You see, so it's like I take serious issue with this, and hopefully you guys will understand where I'm coming from, because here's my point. Cory Booker got to go. Cory Booker needs to lose his seat. Not just him, all of those 17 Democrats that voted against that in the Senate need to lose their seat. And Bernie Sanders, don't be thinking you know what? You need to go too. Bernie need to go too. In fact, anyone who can't sit up here and call it a genocide needs to go. All these people need to lose their seat. Now, Bernie may not be taking money from AIPAC, but you damn sure want to protect Israel too much. And that is very suspect. He still wants Israel to be there. You got to go. You won't call it a genocide? You got to go. Somebody captured you somewhere. Now, Cory Booker says all this mess. And I'm telling you guys, let's get it trending. Let's start, I said this earlier, let's start a social media blitz to get Cory Booker out of office. He just voted against blocking weapons to Israel. He is up for re-election in 2026. Hashtag get Booker out. This is the money that Cory Booker has taken from the pro-Israel lobby. Cory Booker has got to go. Now, I say this because, again, when I tell you it's performative, you see he's up for re-election in 2026. There you go. That's why he's on the floor. It's theater, possibly considering another presidential run. But Cory got to go. He got to get up out of there. He's another one. Cory, over here with Benjamin Netanyahu, after he gave this long essay about how we got to get aid in to people in Gaza. Don't hide behind your buddies. That's him right there trying to hide. Don't hide behind your buddies. You stood there in that picture to pose with Benjamin Netanyahu along with Chuck Schumer. Don't hide. You took that money. Don't hide your face now. We have to, when I say we have to drive ourselves towards a more radical form of politics, it means that we can no longer continue to vote or support or advocate for a whack-ass Obama wannabe politician. That's Cory Booker. No more Obamas. No more Clyburns. No more Kamalas. None of these whack ass sellout politicians. None of them. He got to go. Cory Booker hand in hand here with Benjamin Netanyahu. He's fake. Fake. Bought and paid for. And for Black viewers in particular, you got to vet these Black politicians too. I'm getting kind of tired of people just thinking that just because they're Black and they're running for office that you should support them. No, they got to be vetted too. You need to know who they taking money from. That's how you end up with Cory Booker. That's how you end up with Hakeem Jeffries. That's how you end up with Jim Clyburn. Meanwhile, your districts continue to struggle. These are people who just want political power. These are people who want to have these speaking fee engagements. They want to give talks. They want to write books. Cory Booker sat right there and told AIPAC during a conference how they can recruit Black people at a young age. These are not the politicians that are going to fight and help the Black community. They got to go. No more of these. No more Corys. No more Clyburns. And no more Chantel Browns who ran against Nina Turner. Now, luckily, one of Chantel's constituents stood up to her. Of course, you guys know she is very, very pro-Israel. Shout out to Mark. He said, last night I went to an event held by my Congresswoman puppet of Israel, Chantel Brown. Let's see what happened here. Kudos, Mark.
IRS refund with a small business loan with Medicare or Social Security, please contact my office. We are here to help.
When can I get back the money you've been sending to Israel? When am I going to get back? When are you going to give back the money that you've been sending to Israel? You have been voting to give my tax dollars to Israel to commit Palestinian genocide. You are a paid puppet of Israel. There are babies dying right now in Israel Palestine because of the votes that you've been making the past 2 years. You are as evil as Donald Trump.
Go that way for me.
I am a constituent of this district, and then why are you letting them take you like this?
Wait a little while in the program, so we'll get to that, sir. Thank you.
Okay? Relax with it.
You don't have
to. Let's go. Go this way. Let's go. My man. Thank you. You need to relax yourself, man.
What do you mean relax? Am I fighting you?
Relax yourself. Okay?
What do you mean relax? I'm walking with you. Have I said anything?
Huh? Come here, man. Relax.
We're recording too, sir. So
yep,
you can record all you want.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the deal. You're causing a disruption.
How many Palestinians' lives have been disrupted because of her?
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Okay? That's us talking now, okay?
Okay.
Now, she actually stated on the way out that she wanted to address your concern, but we're going to have to do it in a peaceful fashion. Are you going to be able to do that?
I have contacted her. I have tweeted at her. She wasn't going to take my question. That's why I did that.
I get it.
Nope.
And then he was grabbing me, acting like all I wanted to do was say that. I'm not. Because I know how you all do.
You got your message out? You got your message out?
And let me tell you, you work for her, you got Palestinian blood on your hands. There are babies starving to death right now because of you and her. Y'all are just as evil as Donald Trump. Y'all are just as evil as Donald Trump.
Did you get your message out?
Oh, I will.
Okay. Did you get your message?
Are you a Christian?
Did you get your message?
Are you a Christian? I'm asking, are you a Christian?
We got a couple options here.
What's the option?
If you want to continue to enjoy the event and potentially.
Did I say I was going back? I just told you I wasn't going back in.
Okay, then it's
okay. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Imagine asking people to be civil at this point in time, asking for civil discourse when there's a genocide happening. Imagine asking people to do that. Chantel Brown bought and paid for a puppet. AIPAC poured in a lot of money to her. Look at how much money she has been taking. Over 4.3. You see this? Over 4.3 million from pro-Israel lobby donations. Another Black face in a high place not doing anything for Black people, but there to make sure that she prioritizes Israel. You got to be done with these people, man. You got to be done with these people. Like it just, so we have to get past the whole they are representation thing if they're not bringing nothing to the table for the Black community. They're putting Israel first at every step of the way. That includes people like, yes, Shontel Brown. And this is why when you look at the way people voted for that particular measure, yeah, it's great that 27 voted against it, but it should have been all of them. Every single Democrat should have voted against that. But they didn't, because they're all bought and paid for. So we can no longer allow ourselves to be confused by controlled opposition that appears to be radical politic, but just wants to conform and fit in with the establishment status quo. That's your Bernie Sanders. That's your AOC. They're looking out for their careers and their families. And I would not be surprised if at some point Bernie Sanders was threatened or his family was threatened. These people are long gone. A lot of the people in Congress bought and paid for. Bought and paid for. So it's great that the majority voted against it. But the reality is, if you're the Democratic Party and you say that you are true opposition to the Republican Party, all of you should have voted against it. All of you should have voted against it. All these people got to be voted out. Point blank. I don't care who runs against them. Somebody run against them, get them out. All these people they got to go. Got to go. Because you look around and you see, isn't it obvious by now? Isn't it obvious that a lot of these people are bought and paid for? And what bothers me the most, as I said, is it's the Black politicians that bother me the most. And I say that because you Black kids look at you and see that you're someone that they may see as a role model, someone that they may look up to. Black kids in poor neighborhoods can see you on TV and say, hey, there's someone who looks like me. Maybe I can get there too. But you're dirty. You're not even prioritizing helping the needs of your own community. You're prioritizing helping Israel. So that's the problem. That's why I focus so much on them, because they give people the impression that they're there to fight for you, but they're not. They're just a black face in a high place. They put Israel before you too. So no, we're not going to be fooled by this anymore. Cory Booker and the Harvard, Obama, whack-ass, wannabe politicians, Harvard, Stanford, etc. We are not going to allow ourselves to be played by these people into thinking that they're one of us and they're really trying to help, and they're not. They're puppets, they're corporate, they're status quo, and that means they're against you. Let's get to some of the comments, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you, Cheetah. You've been a member for 8 months. Bernie and AOC, biggest hypocrites. The Oracle said new Booker and Schumer would still be supporting the genocide. Yep. Thank you, What Democracy, who's been a member for 5 months. Apparently, Alyssa Slotkin missed last night's vote to go on Stephen Colbert's show. Total coward and reveals her priorities. She wants to be a celeb. I really think so. It's like Nick was saying this earlier today. Some of these politicians are people who maybe wanted to be celebrities, wanted to be in Hollywood, and settled for being a politician. Thank you, Wasim. Bernie is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Did you catch his weird reaction on CNN when asked about Epstein? I didn't see that part. I got to check that one. And thank you for this one. Vermont, get rid of his ass. Yes, all these people got to go. Thank you, Kenman. Caitlin Collins, so hot she could melt ice caps. Okay. Thank you, Paul. He is taking J Street PAC money. Disgusting. Thank you, Natalie. Intent matters. Does a politician do the right thing because they believe in it, like marching with MLK, or are they climbing the political ladder? That's a good question, Natalie. Thank you, Wasim. Corey looks like he is standing for food. And thank you for this one. Chantel Brown had huge dirty laundry like corruption before she was senator. Good job, Ohio. Or Congresswoman. She's Congresswoman. Thank you, John. American Zionists will use either fascism or a civil war to force their vision on the rest of us at this stage of the game. I hear where you're coming from there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're making good time. We're moving on to our next story. If you haven't done so, could you do me a solid and smash the like? Thank you so much. Again, the theme tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Isn't It Obvious? I don't know if this one is as obvious, but we'll get into it. So Kamala Harris announced that she has changed her mind and she is no longer running for governor of California. This was announced recently. So that's good news for people like Butch Ware. I'm pretty sure the Democratic Party will find another establishment tool to fill that slot. Now, that means one of two things. One, she is moving away from politics and she is going to consider other career options. Or two, Kamala Harris is not running for president, is not running for governor of California because she is considering running for president again in 2028. Let's get into it, ladies and gents. First and foremost, I want to get into the sabotage, the Biden story, how Biden, they're still pointing fingers at him, how he is a big part of the reason why Kamala Harris lost the presidential election, staying in the race too long, not really wanting to support her, but doing so anyway, the turmoil behind the scenes. I want to get into that a little bit because I've been doing some thinking. It almost seems like the Jake Tapper book and the other book that was written by three authors, the anti-Biden books that came out this year about what went on behind the scenes, etc., right? It almost feels like these publications are not just there to, of course, protect Kamala Harris from her loss, and not because she lost, but how she lost, the way that she lost, but also to possibly set her up for a 2028 presidential run. Let's get into it, folks.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We do have some breaking news here about Kamala Harris as she has made a decision, at least about her immediate future, as she will not run for governor of California, her home state, in 2026. Of course, this reporting there from our Fox 2 team on the ground in California, Greg Lee, talking about this, posting the announcement she will not run for California governor in 2026 to replace Gavin Newsom. The former VP said she will, quote, be sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans. In a statement on social media, I do want to read it out in full of what she did say here just a little bit ago within the last few moments, saying, over the past 6 months, I have spent time reflecting on this moment in our nation's history and the best way for me to continue fighting for the American people and advancing the values and ideals I hold dear. I'm a devout public servant, and from the earliest days of my career, I believed that the best way I could make a difference in people's lives and fight for a better future was to improve the system from within, and it has been a profound honor to do work and serve the people of California and our nation as a prosecutor, attorney general, U.S. senator, and vice president. In recent months, I have given serious thought to asking the people of California for the privilege to serve as their governor. I love this state, its people, and its promise. It is my home, but after deep reflection, I've decided that I will not run for governor in this election, certainly leaving the door open for future races, both in California and nationally, as this made announcement coming in just a little bit ago is Kamala Harris will not run for the governor of California next year, leaving the door open for another White House bid potentially in 2028. That field of Democrats could get crowded, as former vice.
Everybody heard that part there. Leaving the door open for 2028. And this is what I think is going to happen. I believe that Kamala Harris is stepping down from the California gubernatorial race because she is considering running for president once again in 2028. Now, Butch Ware, who is running for governor in California through the Green Party, said, bye, Felicia. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, Felicia, he said. Now, we'll get into this a little bit more here about the 2028 possibility. This is from a Democrat strategist. Listen to this.
Before we let you go, Kamala Harris says she will not run for California governor in 2026. Knowing you as you do, what do you make of this decision? And then what do you think this means for a potential re-presidential run in 2028?
Look, it was the right call. It was a good instinct because she lost 2 million votes from the 4 years earlier when President Biden won California, her home state. So she would have had, I think, some challenges to overcome, even among Democratic voters in California. I think it was the right call. I do think it means she's going to run. I fully expect her to run for president again. She's young. She's been sort of running and in political office her entire adult life. I don't expect her to sit the next election out, but I hope she's able to overcome some of her previous challenges, mainly.
Pause here. So you heard it here first, folks. It sounds like and this is what this was my initial thought, like when I heard the news that she wasn't going to run for California governor anymore, is that she's probably considering running in 2028 and running again. Now, I know some of you may sit back and you think to yourself, why would she do this to herself? This is insane. This is crazy, because she did not win any of the swing states in 2024. To me, it almost seems like Kamala Harris may take this as an opportunity to do an I told you so presidential campaign where she can go around to states. So she said she's going to be on the ground talking to the people. She can go around and tell people, I warned you guys. I told you that this was coming. You've had Donald Trump. Things would have been different if you would have voted for me. That's probably what she'll be able to use. She may not even have to have a robust platform. She could just run on, I told you Trump was going to be bad, and this is why you should vote for me this time around. That being said, though, Donald Trump won't be running again in 2028. Well, legally, he cannot be running again. So someone else will be running. So I don't know if that strategy would necessarily work for her. And I also still don't think that Kamala Harris would win. And listen, like, I know I'm relatively new to political media. I started the show in 2021, so I'm new to it compared to people who have been doing this for a very long time. But I did warn people last year that I did not think that Kamala Harris was going to win. And not only did I tell people I didn't think she was going to win, I told you I didn't think she was going to win any swing states. And it comes from just talking to people on the ground, because the reality is, as much as people might be upset with Donald Trump right now, he's not running in 2028. And so I still don't see that would make her win. And I would feel differently if, let's say, maybe she had won the popular vote and lost the electoral college, but she didn't win either. So it's a steep climb. It's very steep, but I think that's the direction she's going in.
Communication, answering questions, taking declarative positions, and a degree of authenticity that only comes with accessibility, which unfortunately she was not.
Well, if she's looking for a Democrat consultant to help her with communications, I know a guy, his name, Michael LaRosa, and he got up for us early this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I say this because when we look back, let's go to the very beginning part of this conversation. Everybody came out against Biden, right? Like after Kamala lost, all these books came out and said, look at what Biden did behind the scenes and all of this stuff. It almost feels like I said, it almost felt like they were setting this up for Kamala Harris to be in a position to run again, this time in 2028. Because if you can convince the voting public that the reason why she lost, or that it was Biden who ruined this for all of her, then that would position her that could put her in a different position where maybe some people may say, oh, okay, it wasn't really her. Biden's the one that screwed up everything. Problem is, I don't think that's really going to work. I think the reality is that Kamala Harris is just not a strong candidate. I said the same thing in 2020. Now, I saw Kamala Harris speak in person in New Hampshire in 2020, and I saw it then. She's not a strong candidate. And so I don't know. They keep trying to make Kamala a thing. Maybe they're thinking third time the charm, because people forget she ran in 2020 as well. So I don't know what they're thinking here. But the Biden stories that are coming out now, I feel like this is all a part of the plan.
Happening today, Mike Donilon, former senior advisor to President Biden, is going to testify as part of the probe into the alleged cover-up of Biden's decline. This just one day after top Biden aide Steve Ricchetti reportedly told the panel that Biden was fully capable of being president even today. But a source adding, Mr. Ricchetti admitted that they all knew President Biden's age was an issue and were dealing with it as a political matter. But here's the real sentence. In preparation for the infamous debate, Steven Spielberg helped President Biden prepare for it. Michael LaRosa is a Democratic strategist and the former press secretary to Jill Biden. He joins me now. Mike, great to see you as always. I don't know, what did Steven Spielberg, a guy with a directing career who brings fiction to the big screen, really do to prepare Joe Biden for a debate, which quite frankly entails two guys standing there answering real life questions? I don't get it.
I don't either, but either Steven Spielberg failed to do a good job of producing his debate prep, or they did, because the president wasn't even looking into the camera and doing the things from a production standpoint he should have been doing to communicate with his audience. So it was a real failure in prep to sort of simulate what a debate would look and feel like for the president, because he was off in, a variety of ways.
So notice all of the energy that's coming out against Joe Biden this year, right? Like there's been two books, Jake Tapper, who tried to lie to viewers and let you know that Biden was fine and not experiencing cognitive decline, even though we could see with our own eyes there. He had the nerve of all people to write a book after he lied to the American people for 4 years about Biden's mental acuity. He came out with a book. Then there were 3 journalists who also released a book. And everyone's just so public about it now. When those of us in independent media were public about it during that time, we were called haters. We were called secret Trumpers, like all these different things, as if they didn't see the same things that we were seeing, right? So it almost feels like they're setting the stage for Kamala to run in 2028. If they can convince the American people that it's all Biden's fault, then maybe they'll feel sorry for Kamala and maybe she'll have more support this time around. But I don't think it's going to work. And now she has written a book. Kamala has a book. Of course, when people run for president, what do? They write a book afterwards. And now her book talks about her journey as a candidate. So don't be surprised if there's things in her book that also throw Joe Biden under the bus. It almost feels like all the stars are aligning to set her up for another presidential run. Check this out. Here comes the book.
And just into our newsroom, former Vice President Kamala Harris has announced she's got a new book titled 107 Days about her very short, unsuccessful campaign for president.
Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book.
Harris took to social media this morning to urge people to read her new memoir, which comes out in September. Since she lost the election to Donald Trump in November, she's been thinking about her next move, and she's decided to skip the California governor's race. If she had entered that race, she would have had advantages like name recognition and national campaign donors. But in a statement, she says she wants to help elect Democrats across the country. She says she will reveal more details about her own plans in the coming months.
In writing this book, One truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals.
So what exactly does that mean? Another run for president? Political observers say it's clear she's leaving that possibility open.
Leaving that possibility open. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to tell you this, but I really do feel like the Democratic Party is still trying to make President Kamala Harris a thing. And things didn't really work out the way I think Democrat leadership wanted it to work out. You know, I think what they wanted to happen was for Biden to serve, one term, during that one term to resign so that she would become president. And then she would just, run for like a re-election as Biden would resign. That was, if I'm thinking like how Democrat leadership would think, I think that was like their plan. They said, well, the way we're going to get her in there is Biden isn't going to finish this full term. He's going to resign and pass the baton to her. And that's how you would get the first female president. And the Democratic Party would love that because they could just say, oh, look, the first, and they would go with this, the first Black female, president, and the first female president was a Black woman. And man, they would just run with it. And then they would never have to deliver on anything for working people because they gave you that. But that plan didn't work out. So I feel like they're still trying to like make this a thing. And to me, I'm just kind of like, isn't it obvious? So people are saying, yay, I'm glad that she's not running for governor of California anymore. But I think she's setting her eyes on a bigger prize, and that is running for president once again. And if she loses again, and which I think she will, if she loses again, I don't know what to tell you guys after that one. I don't know what to tell you. Arcane said Kamala is picking up the martini glass where Nancy left off. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, there are certain people that they put their eye on and they decide that's who they want. Obama was one of those people. I really don't think that she would win if she ran again, but thank you, J Music. Scooby-Doo could do a better job than these clowns. KZX1 says it was planned. P-Hub said Kamala Harris lost the election because she wouldn't distance herself from Biden's genocide and wars. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Andrew. Holocaust Harris 2028. Get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you, man, don't be surprised. There will probably be a lot of people run in 2028, just like 2020, at least in the primary. Okay. All right, guys, I want to send you a big thank you before we get to the next story. So we reached our fundraising goal for the back to school donation. So I just want to say thank you, guys. If you're around and you can stop by, come on. We'd love to see you August 16th if you want to come help us volunteer. But our goal was 2,000 and we did reach that goal. This is our annual back to school donation event where we donate school supplies to the kiddos. And we'll also provide lunch for them. And we'll host games as well. We're going to be at the Codman Square Library in Dorchester. That's August 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern. So I would love to see you if you want to come help and volunteer. And this ultimately is how we need to move. Like we have to start like, it's not just about radical politic and showing people what is possible. It's also about showing people what's possible outside of electoral politics. So I want to continue showing you guys that. So I will be starting back the mutual aid workshop in August. I know we already did one, but I want to keep doing those because people can't always attend, on one said date. So look forward to that. I'll promote it and announce it on the show that we'll keep hosting those mutual aid workshops so you guys can start mutual aid where you are as well. It's about building dual power. It's like you can't sit here and rely on these politicians. You'll just constantly be disappointed. All righty. Let's keep it moving. Keep it moving. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Okie dokie. Let's keep it moving on. Moving on. Moving on. All right, guys. This story, and I'm covering this story because I do have experience with advertising. So I said, well, I'm going to talk about this. If you don't know who Sydney Sweeney is, you probably do now, or you will after this discussion. Sydney Sweeney is an actress and a producer. At the time, before this ad created so much controversy, I was not aware of who Sydney Sweeney was, but I did read up about her, that she was on a show called White Lotus on HBO. And I said, oh, well, that explains why I don't know who she is, because I don't have HBO. So I'm sorry, guys, but some of the shows that you guys request me to watch, they're on HBO and I can't watch the shows, or they're on Showtime and I can't watch it. So I can't. Yeah, I ain't got that kind of, we ain't got it like that over here. I don't have HBO. I don't have Showtime. I don't have any of that stuff. So, but anywho, Sydney Sweeney just participated in an American Eagle ad that is starting a lot of controversy. Everybody's talking about it. And I want to give a little bit of the advertising perspective to show you how things work in advertising. Now, I'm going to start with this clip here from Fox News because I think it's interesting, because the ad that they show you is not the ad that people are upset about. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Well, Sydney Sweeney is facing woke backlash as the face of American Eagle jeans. The superstar actress announced her latest partnership with the brand, launching a new campaign highlighting her, quote, great jeans. Take a look.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
Yeah, so I thought this was interesting, right? That's not the ad that people are talking about. So a lot of times with companies, when they create ads, they'll create multiple ads, right? Like 3, 4, maybe even 5. And depending on the platform, they will run maybe like that ad, which is a lot shorter. Maybe they'll run that like on a YouTube short or something like that. Things so much different now than it was before when I was in advertising, but they'll use different ads that have different time lengths on different platforms. So like 30 seconds may go on one platform, the 1 minute one may go on another platform, but that's not the ad. That's not the ad that people are talking about. That's not the one. This is the ad that people are talking about. So here we go. Let's go ahead and bring it up here.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
So that's the ad that people are upset about. Charlie said, ew, what the fuck? But there's a big difference between the ad that they showed you on Fox News. Now, given what I just showed you, right? So you can see here, they're talking about the genes themselves. They're showing the genes, but then they're talking about her genes.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
So she says her jeans are blue. So yes, the jeans that she has on are blue, but her eyes are also blue. So they're talking about jeans that you physically put on, the item of clothing, and they're talking about your genes that are passed down through your parents, grandparents, etc., like your hair color, your eye color, you know, all those types of things. So now that you've seen the actual ad, let's go back to that segment on Fox News. Because like I said, I think it's important that you guys see the real ad that people are talking about, not this one that they just showed you.
But some on the left wasted no time attacking the advertisement and its tagline, saying that it's not about a pair of pants. It's actually racist. Salon Magazine writes, quote, the phrase used in bold on billboards in Times Square in Las Vegas was designed as a denim pun. But online, many saw something else. Great genes, G-E-N-E-S, a phrase historically used to celebrate whiteness, thinness, and attractiveness. Others described the slogan as too close to master race propaganda and said it echoed eugenics-era language used to validate and promote the superiority of white beauty. Harris, I come to you first.
Let's pause here for a second, okay? Because first and foremost, I think what people, if you haven't been in like advertising or maybe just not as familiar, I think what people don't understand is that this bad press is not going to hurt American Eagle. It's making American Eagle more popular, which is exactly what American Eagle wanted to happen. Let's walk through this a little bit and I'll tell you how advertising works. Number one, so I think that people assume that, let's start from the beginning. When it comes to advertising, right, the goal is to sell. The company is trying to sell a product or they're trying to sell a service. Now, in order to do that, the company has to ask, what is our target audience? Now, I know this because I took advertising when I was in undergrad and we had to create ads. Like as part of our projects, that's what we had to do. So we had to walk through these steps as to who are we trying to reach? What are we trying to sell? Do we have a hook in the ad? Is there something about the ad that's going to keep people talking and is going to get their attention? American Eagle did all that with this ad. And whether people like it or not, everybody's talking about it, which is exactly what American Eagle wanted you to do. Since this ad has been released, American Eagle stock has shot up. Since this ad has been released, everyone is talking about it. There are some people who saw this ad and they're like, I didn't even make the connection of the jeans and the jeans are blue and my eyes are blue. Some people did not make that connection. But I will say this, getting back to what you were trying to advertise and who you were trying to reach, who is the intended audience? Every company, every business, when doing an ad is going to ask that question. So American Eagle here did a play on words to reach a certain demographic. American Eagle to me kind of was like the more affordable version of Abercrombie and Fitch. And they tended to have a certain demographic, right? They catered, their ads tend to appeal more to, white, preppy, like younger people, just like Abercrombie and Fitch. Now in 2019, they decided to make a change. And I'll show you that in just a second as well. In 2019, they went in another direction where American Eagle, so I'm getting confused now. American Eagle decided to reach a different audience. And I just want to show you this, right? 2019 versus 2025. Now, this was the ad that American Eagle had in 2019. Notice the difference. It is a voluptuous Black woman in their jeans. Now come 2025, they have a thin white woman in their jeans who is also doing the comparison between physical jeans and her actual jeans, like her eye color. In 2019, when American Eagle had this ad, they were trying to reach a certain demographic. That is how advertising works. Now, whether or not you like the ad or you agree with it or not is besides the point for the company. If they can get you to talk about it, then they have won. If they can get everybody in an uproar about this ad, then they have won. And I'll show you the response that American Eagle is making right now, right? And to show you just that, how they have won. Now, who do I think they're trying to reach in that ad? It's very obvious. The target audience in that particular ad, they are reaching out to younger white people, possibly younger men in that ad. That's who they are speaking to. In 2019, in the ad that they had there, they were speaking to younger Black women, possibly even younger Black men, because they had the girl showing her booty. I mean, they had the booty like just all right there. So What I'm trying to say is companies go back and forth. One year they may try to reach one demographic. Years later, they may try to target another demographic. That's what they do. Now let's go back into this clip here from Fox News.
And promote the superiority of white beauty. Harris, I come to you first. You have young daughters, and we love fashion together. Are these criticisms valid? Will it have an impact?
I can tell you that in my household, we wouldn't even think of that. I have biracial children. I live with a white Jewish man. I mean, what I thought that meant was, well, she was wearing some great jeans. I guess I'm really naive. I lived this long to be naive. But I also don't see everything through the prism of race. And I think you can find whatever it is you think you're looking for. And that's what I feel when I read about this. It's like, well, they wanted to see it this way, so they did. I'm more concerned about whether or not, there are enough women in ads, that just like I was.
Brian said, lot of booty, show the booty again. Hey, I told you what? I told you they trying to target certain people.
It's about women in sports. There's certain things that really do occur to me immediately in advertising. That really didn't.
And the counter often are saying, Lisa, is that, well, she's actually not that thin, the historically thin that's been unhealthy. She's curvy and natural. She's a biological woman. So finally, we're celebrating that. And that it has nothing to do with what it might imply to some people.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Sweeney's success in this ad campaign has nothing to do with race. It has to do about returning to traditional standards of beauty. And I guarantee the same people who find Sydney Sweeney attractive also think Halle Berry is hot and attractive, also think Jessica Alba is as well. This is about rejecting the Orwellian way of life that was shoved down our throats for 4 years under Joe Biden. The war is peace, the freedom is slavery, the ignorance is strength. And I will add, hairy armpits is attractive, right? or attractive. So, we were told for 4 years that like obesity is healthy, that Harry Styles wearing a dress on the cover of Vogue magazine, that's masculinity, that, the Doug Emhoff's daughter with hairy armpits, that's a model, that's attractive, right? So I think what is happening now is American society going back to what we traditionally see as beauty, which is just women looking like women.
Now,
let me pause here and let me add to something that she just said here, right? I think that especially for the younger people, right? Like I'm a millennial, I'm an older millennial. I think for like some of the younger people, the Gen Z people, you may not have grown up during, I think when you guys were growing up, things were different. When I was growing up, most of the models and most of the people that I saw in the commercials were white. See, things changed over time, but people have to remember, I grew up during a time when the women on the cover of the magazines were models. It wasn't a singer. It wasn't an actress. It wasn't a reality TV star. And I can still remember Tyra Banks. That was like a big thing. Tyra Banks, Naomi Campbell, when Tyra Banks made the cover of Sports Illustrated, I remember that being a big, big deal because they never had a Black woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated before. But I think for a younger generation, I think that you may not be used to, but that's what I grew up with. I still remember going into the store, like when I was younger and I had Barbie dolls, there was one Black Barbie doll and her name was Christy. Now you have everything. Like you have a variety. You go look at Barbie. You got Barbie of all different races, ethnicity, and all that kind of stuff. But when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. And when we talk about the models, when I was growing up, for the most part, it was not like that. There were Black models, but there were far and few, and there were very few Black supermodels, and very few of them that got on the cover of the magazines. So I think part of the reason why people are freaking out is because they're seeing this ad and they're like, whoa, what's happening here? Well, what are we doing? They made that ad for a specific demographic. Now, you don't have to like it and you ain't got to agree with it. Hell, you ain't even got to buy American Eagle clothes. But at the end of the day, now you know, and this is something to think about. It kind of puts you in the other person's shoes. It puts you in the other person's shoes, the people who were complaining and said, oh, I'm so tired of certain things being pushed down my throat. Now it's like, because things are changing, now you're on the other side of that. And part of this could have to do with politics. I don't know. I just think that the numbers are showing that the US is becoming more conservative, whereas people do agree more with like those progressive or populist policies. The data, and I've shown it before on the show, especially even more younger people are embracing more conservatism. The young men, the Democrats lost young men in 2024. So when companies are trying to advertise, they decide which demographic they're trying to attract, who they're trying to reach. This isn't the first time. There was an actress who was a model. Her name was Brooke Shields. She did an ad kind of similar to this back in the day. And she said, nothing comes between me and my, was that the Calvins or the Levi's? Does everybody remember Brooke Shields? Anyway, Brooke Shields, she was very famous like back in the day. And she was a model and she was also an actress. And she had an ad that was similar to Sydney Sweeney's, the Calvin, Jordache and Calvin jeans. Okay, you guys, some people know. Yeah, Calvin's. Yeah. And I remember my mom was telling me that that was considered controversial for the time. Like people were like, what does she mean? Nothing comes between her and her Calvins. Like that was a big deal, my mom said. I was like, really? So, and you kind of find yourself back in this spot again. Now, did American Eagle know what they were doing when they said, let's do the play on the words and, you know, that kind of thing? Of course, like I said, they're trying to reach a certain demographic and all companies do it. And they have different demographics that they try to reach and they do it in different ways. And so again, when you saw American Eagle in 2019, that was the demographic they were trying to reach then. They were trying to reach Black women, younger Black women, possibly Black men, because like I said, they got a booty out there. So these companies, like they just trying to make money. They're not beholding to a certain like group, but maybe except for Abercrombie, but they didn't went down under anyway. For the most part, they're not trying to say, I am only beholding to one like demographic. They are going to go with the trends. And American Eagle obviously sees the data that I presented on the show a couple of months ago, which is that especially a lot of younger men are trending more conservative. 2019, it was a different time. 2019, people were like, get Trump out of here. Biden was about to run in 2020. Like people were saying, we got to get Trump out of there and we got to save this country and we need more diversity. So do you see how they moving with the times? That's what American Eagle did. Now, push this here because American Eagle did respond. So let me show you what they said. American Eagle's exec responds to Sydney Sweeney great jeans controversy. So I want you to see what they said here. The campaign, they said that it was greenlit and it was encouraged by Sydney Sweeney herself. The campaign, which plays on a double meaning genetics and the brand's iconic denim, has dominated social feeds with some saying the wording evokes racist and nationalist ideals. So let's see what Shapiro said. Shapiro said in the Zoom call, with the Zoom call with Sydney, we were asking the question, how far do you want to push it? Sweeney's response was immediate and exactly what the brand was hoping for. Without hesitation, she smirked and said, let's push it. I'm game. The team reaction was just as swift. Our response, challenge accepted. They go on to say here from Shapiro, from that moment on, the executive said Sweeney's daring sentiment became the guiding principle for the entire massive rollout. Sid's sentiment guided every frame, every stitch, and every unexpected twist of the Sydney Sweeney Has Great Jeans campaign. Infusing our own personal cheeky energy and making us as we envision how the world would experience the launch. See what I'm saying? What they said? As we envision how the world would experience the launch. The goal was to go bigger than ever before. Fueled by Sweeney's willingness to embrace the playful concept, a desire to stretch beyond anything we had done before. The ideas kept building, the stunts topping themselves, and the stunts have been impossible to miss. The More is More campaign includes a massive, multifaceted takeover of culture, including a playful stunt doubled to reveal the genius pun behind jeans, testing AI try-on technology, and show-stopping interactive 3D billboards in New York City, prompting a pre-exemptive note. Apologies to the NYPD in advance. So, what they explain to you here is this is what they wanted to get a stir. They wanted it to get attention. And that's exactly what people gave it. It says the star power of Sydney and the double meaning behind the campaign has a culture shaping power beyond anything I could ever have imagined being a part of. Just check your social feeds. So that's what American Eagle was trying to do. Right. Becky says, sounds like they knew what they were flirting with. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. They wanted to get a stir out of people. They wanted people to talk about it. And that's exactly what people are doing. And now American Eagle's stock has increased right after this ad. One of the ways for a business to die is for people to stop talking about you. I wasn't even thinking about American Eagle for a long time until this whole controversy of this ad came out. So their mission was accomplished. Now, I just kind of see it as that. And I think, like, some people are really upset about it. I mean, if you're upset about it, you're upset about it. But I don't know. I feel like I've seen this over and over again with advertising where, like, it seems like every year there's that one commercial that people get really angry, like really like frustrated and freaked out about, right? But American Eagle was telling you right there, they knew exactly what they were doing and they were trying to appeal to a certain demographic. You don't have to shop there. That's how I look at it. Like, you don't have to shop there. I will say this though, to Sydney Sweeney, because we brought up Brooke Shields being in a similar advertisement for the Calvin jeans and stuff. From what I'm reading, it appears that Sydney Sweeney is being seen as like a sex symbol. And the only thing that I would say is, one thing that Brooke Shields did say, she did give kind of warning advice to other actresses heading down that path that she took. Because the problem that Brooke Shields said that she ran into as being like this sex symbol was that other actresses, other serious roles that she would audition for, it was like she wasn't seen as a serious actress because she was identified as this sex symbol. And apparently, from what I understand with Brooke Shields, they did this to her at a very young age. I don't even think Brooke Shields, I think she was 14, 15 when she was in that movie, The Blue Lagoon, whatever. Right? So that is one thing that I would say, because it is hard. Like, once you get that label, it's harder to transition to more of like the serious roles and things like that. It's hard for them to go beyond seeing that. And she was 15. Yeah, she was 15. She was so young. Brooke Shields was like very young. And my mom was explaining this to me. And so that is one thing I would say. It's hard when you get stuck into that typecast. But yeah, it's an ad. So I say, isn't it obvious? Because yeah, it's obvious American Eagle knew what they were doing and who they were trying to appeal to. Does there need to be full panels talking about this and like people saying, you know, get rid of these people and take it down and all this kind of stuff. I don't even know you should go that far. You're going to be doing that. You're going to be doing that every year. But you don't have to shop there. That's how I see it. All right. Let's go to some of the comments and then we'll get to the final story. This one might make people laugh. Thank you, J Music. Scooby-Doo could do a better job than these. Oh, I said that one. Sorry. Thank you, Roger. Eric T. Red must not be here today. Guess why I ask? Yeah, Eric he's off with him and Corey have an event. Yeah. Thank you, Def. I doubt Kamala would win a primary, though this is the DNC we're talking about. But Kamala versus Tulsi would be hilarious. Not that I'd vote for either. That would be funny. Thank you, Michael. Blacks know good genes because black don't crack. Okay, Michael. Cloudness said, I don't watch commercials anyways. I know, it's like, and apparently I am missing out not having HBO or Showtime because people are always recommending shows to me. And then I look it up and it's like only on HBO or Showtime. Thank you, Frank Johnson. I didn't think the black woman was breathing. Oh, in the butt picture. Thank you, Kenman. I love Sabby's millennial references. Ironic. Oh, Zennial references. Ironic. Thank you, Sparky. Girls of all races and ethnicities can have good genes and can sport the hell out of some genes. And thank you, Kenman. Gen Z celebs so lame. Celebrity is over. Thank you, Sparky. Girls crying about the commercials seem to think only white girls have good genes. They not only lack self-esteem, they're racist. American Eagle can now feature girls of all flavors with good genes. You know what's interesting to me too, because like as like, you know, between you, me and you guys, like, you know, between us, as a black woman, like I don't know, like it seemed like I saw like white women, white liberal women that were pretty upset about this. But as a black woman, like I don't compare myself to a white woman because we won't look alike. So I guess for me, I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like I don't know. Oh my God. Okay, let's get into this story. So this is interesting. Dr. Umar Johnson made a video and he posted this video on social media where he said that he has been basically locked out of his bank accounts, that all of his accounts have been frozen. So I don't know how to take this. I don't know what to make of it. Some people feel like this is a scam. I'm going to let you guys see the video. You let me know what you think. But this was the message from Dr. Umar as of recent.
This morning, I received a text message from one of my homies. He needed Dr. Umar to send him a couple of dollars. This morning, I received a text message from one of my homies. He needed Dr. Umar to send him a couple of dollars. I logged into my account just to check my balance because I haven't done so since I left for South Africa back on July 10th, only to discover that I could not log into my account. So then I called the bank to find out what was going on. And the bank told me to enter my 16-digit card number. I did that. They told me they had no record of my account. The bank that I've been with since I was a teenager told me they had no record of my account.
That's the part that is really troubling for me. I'm having a difficult time with this when I first heard this story because I was just like, so if you've been with a bank for 10 years and now all of a sudden they're saying they have no record of your account, that doesn't make sense to me, especially this day and age with technology. I'm having a hard time buying that. Let's continue.
So then I called the bank And the bank told me that my personal account, as well as the independent Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy account, have both been frozen. Both bank accounts have been frozen. Both bank accounts have been frozen. But I was told that it was due to suspicion of fraudulent activity. I was told that someone has been trying to gain access to my personal account and the FDMG account. I was told that someone has been trying to gain access to my personal account and the FDMG account.
I don't know why he repeats. I know people are probably wondering that, but this doesn't make any sense. First, he said that the bank told him they had no record of his account, and he has been with the bank for over 10 years. Then he says later on that the bank told him that someone tried to get access to his account, but I thought they said there was no record of an account with the. I'm sorry. Am I wrong? I probably shouldn't laugh. I probably shouldn't laugh. I'm a bad girl.
I was told that someone has been trying to gain access into my personal account and the FDMG account. I was told that the timeline for suspicious activity was between June 25th. That's when Medea went public. Everybody knows who Medea is. July 25th, that's when Medea went public. July the 10th, that's when I left for South Africa. Do you want to make a donation to FDMG? Send it through PayPal.
Wait a minute. So FDMG, that's the school that Dr. Umar said that he started, and it still hasn't opened, and he's been accepting donations for that school. And people are like, why hasn't that school opened all this time? You keep taking donations from people. So he's telling people just to send the donations through PayPal. We'll get into the school in a little bit, man. I don't know, you guys.
Right? PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. If you want to make a donation to the school, hold off on checks and money orders until we find out what the hell is going on. Dr. Umar has access to no money right now because my personal account contains all of my money. I only send it to Apple Pay and PayPal as necessary.
Oh boy, you guys. So who did Dr. Umar piss off? That's what I want to know. Like, if the bank does freeze your accounts, like, that's a big deal. You done pissed off somebody. Cause I don't know. Like, because typically, let's say you're having difficulty trying to, get funds, because let's say you're trying to use your debit card or whatever, and maybe you traveled outside of the usual like zip codes or state or whatever that you usually shop in, and you can't use your card because your bank is flagging it, thinking, oh, this must be somebody else. Or you're trying to make a big purchase and the bank may block it because it's an unusual amount and they may consider that to be unusual activity. Got it. But if it gets to the point where you walk into the bank and the bank won't let you withdraw money because they say that the account is frozen, if someone was trying to get access to the account, who was that person? And that's what I think people are asking. People are asking, who is the person that tried to get access to that account? Satra said Sabby, the call center, told him no account. He called his bank location where he banks and told him the account frozen. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Also, as someone who uses PayPal, typically the way that PayPal works is that when you send me money through PayPal, that money is then sent to my bank. Is it PayPal, bank, pay, bank? So the money goes into PayPal, and then you have an option, or I would have an option to withdraw the funds. The option that it presents is usually you can have those funds transferred to your debit card or to your bank. If you have it transferred to your bank, there's zero fee. If you do it immediately, which would go to your debit card, they charge like 1 or 2%, something like that. So I'm confused. Let's continue on. And maybe I'm just missing something, but that's how PayPal works. It still goes to your bank.
So the Prince of Pan-Africanism, for the first time in my life, is without any digital currency there. For my loyal supporters, if you can spare a few dollars so I can take care of Queen Mother Ifa Tunde and myself until my bank account is frozen or canceled so I can get my money back and open up a new account, please hit my Apple Pay or hit my PayPal.
So someone needs to explain this to me. One of you said PayPal has a debit card now. PayPal is probably run by Zionists, RacePay said. Someone mentioned that, conservative singer said PayPal has a prepaid card now. Okay, maybe he has that. Maybe he has that. You don't keep up with this stuff. But did he call himself the Prince of... Wait a minute.
Umar has access to no money right now because my personal account contains all of my money. I only send it to Apple Pay and PayPal as necessary. So the Prince of Pan-Africanism, for the first time in my life, is without any digital currency there.
He called himself the Prince of Pan-Africanism. Did he give himself that name or did someone else give him that name? I don't know. Dr. Umar, some people think Dr. Umar be scamming. Like, this is the thing. He mentioned the school, so we're bringing up the school. This was announced March of 2023. After delays, Dr. Umar Johnson finally sets an opening date for his school for Black boys. Now, it's called the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. And in 2023, it was announced that he had finally established a date that it was going to open. And this is important because people are like, hey, you keep taking all this money for the school. Why hasn't the school opened? So a little bit about the school here. FDMG Academy is located in Wilmington, Delaware. It has been a work in progress for several years now and has become the subject of unfounded accusations that Johnson has been soliciting and accepting donations to help renovate the school building without any intentions of ever opening it. So this is 2023, okay? Now, let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can follow along with me. Now Johnson is attempting to prove his naysayers wrong in a series of Instagram posts touting FDMG and listing several events scheduled to take place in the weeks leading up to when he said it will open in time to start the 2024-2025 school year. Okay, so it was announced it was going to open for the 2024-2025 school year. But that didn't happen. And then it's like, apparently there was vandalism. Vandalism at Dr. Umar Johnson's FDMG Academy delays the opening, damages thousands of books and cultural artifacts. So there's Dr. Umar Johnson there. This article was published June 15th this year, 2025. And there's FDMG. Now it says that it suffered a serious setback following a report act of vandalism that damaged key educational resources and cultural items. The incident, which came to light on June 14th, 2025, targeted the interior of the building, resulting in the destruction of a 5,000 book library, various cultural artifacts, and educational supplies. Fortunately, the physical structure of the school itself remains intact. Okay, so I didn't see any pictures of the vandalism. But then the date was pushed back. It says here, originally expected to welcome students earlier, the FDMG Academy is now projected to open in September of 2026. So the date was pushed back again. So this is why people ask, like, is Dr. Umar just scamming people? Because he keeps getting money and people are like, dude, you've been taking money for people for the school, but this school hasn't. When is this school going to open, right? So it's been years. It's been a long time. And people are looking at that video that he just posted on social media, and some people think that that's a scam. This guy here had some things to say about the Dr. Umar video. Check this out.
I will never take Dr. Umar Johnson seriously. And honestly, bro, like when you open up your mouth and you try to sound like this and black that, but then you're not married to a black woman. You got multiple baby mamas. You talking about you want 2 queens. I expect you to have a downfall at this point. I really do. One minute he's quote unquote a panderer, next minute he's saying some good to you know what black men want to hear, as far as like what the last clip that came out where he was talking about women got to share a man. Dude don't know what he want to be. Do you want to be an advocate for women? Do you
It's interesting.
be an advocate for men, or do you want to be quote unquote balanced? And my thing is, I just didn't understand how people never saw that he was a fraud to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Umar this and Dr. Umar that. Bro, Dr. Umar Johnson is a typical black male. A man with multiple baby mamas and a scammer. Where is the school? And then he comes on the internet, bro. He couldn't go to a homeboy and call to ask, you know, can he borrow a couple of dollars until his bank account get fixed or whatever. He came to the internet. What type of man can't, you know, call up a homeboy or a family member or something and just ask, can I get a couple of dollars until this stuff blows over?
So that was something I didn't think about, and I thought he brought up a really good point there. Why not go to a friend or a family member? Most people would do that before coming to the internet. I didn't think about that. Huh.
He said, like, I got a Zelle. I don't got a Cash App. I got a Zelle, you know, hit my Zelle up. Nah, bro. Nah, like, this ain't making sense to me. And then not only that, bro, when people open up their mouth and diss the Lord, I expect them to have a downfall. I expect them to have a downfall soon. When they open their mouth and diss the Lord, I expect them to have a downfall soon. So as far Dr. Umar Johnson is, to me, is nothing but a scammer, because if you really pro-black this and pro-black that, why you don't have a pro-black family? And then my thing is his own child came out and dissed him. You know what I'm saying? Like your child would know you better than anybody. Matter of fact, even if your child didn't know you, like, because you're a deadbeat, you feel me? You're a deadbeat, right? Because that's what she said, that you ain't never did nothing for her, right? That's worse. That's worse. Like, come on now, man. So, and my thing is, all these people that supported Dr. Umar Johnson, I just be wondering, like, how y'all didn't see this from the beginning? Now he on the internet begging for money. And then,
Well, and this is what I'll say to this point. You know, look, it's easy to say that now. It's easy to say, why didn't people see that from the beginning? You know, like we've said the same thing about some politicians. But because, you know, people believe you have good intentions, and it's easy to say why people didn't see that now. You know what I mean? Also, I'm not feeling what he said about the typical black man with a bunch of babies. Like, what are you talking about? Come on, dude. No, not good. Not good. But I don't know. Like, and I questioned it for quite some time, but like, I'm like, dude, that school has not opened since, and he keeps getting money. And I don't know. It's like, at some point you have to produce the product. Like, people are just gonna be like, what are you doing with all the money? Right? I don't know. Like, even when we do, and that's one thing I will say, even when we do mutual aid, like, we get video, we get pictures, that type of stuff. Like, when we do mutual aid, so you can see what your money went towards. But I don't know about the school, man. And I don't know about these bank accounts being frozen either. But apparently it sounds like he might have pissed somebody off. That's what it sounds like. I don't know. All right, let's go to the comments here in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the super chat, Roger. Okay, you didn't guess that meant check Rockfin. Okay, I will do that. Steven said, Sabby, good genes and good brains. Oh, thank you, Steven. That's really sweet. Thank you, Miss Casey. Umar is a plant on that snow. Thank you, Jesus. He repeats so he can hit the 10-minute video mark. Ah. Anna said, bruh, just get on the school board. I was saying, oh, thank you for this one, Anna, as well. Why not get on a school board or do mutual aid? Yeah, like I don't know. And thank you for the super sticker, Christian affirmation. Thank you so much. Get on the school board. Heck yeah. All right, let me just check Rockfin, because I think Roger has comments there, and then we will skadoodle, ladies and gents, ladies and gents, ladies and gents, ladies and gents, ladies and gents. All right. Okie dokie. All right, Roger, I'll have to read the tips from Rockfin, guys, okay? Thank you for the tip, Dave Birch, because I could try to share it, but Rockfin has a separate window. Big rounds of applause for Sabby and Eric continuing to do some of the heavy lifting in news coverage. Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Those who say Bernie marched with MLK fail to realize MLK, Bayard Rustin, A. Philip Randolph, W.B. Du Bois were Zionists who believed that Israel has a right to exist. When the UN had a resolution to equate racism with Zionism, they raised hell and called it anti-Semitic. In the white suburbs, be it Tea Party or COVID, whites raised hell, but police left them one. Join C. Brown in CBIA to end QI in Ohio Constitution. Thank you for this one. I say go ahead, run. Harris shortcut her way to the nomination because Dems knew she couldn't make it out of the primary. Understand the plan was to have Joe win, then say, yo, you got to step down. You lost your mind, and Harris steps into the presidency. Her history, people, has always shortcutted her way to the top, whether it's sleeping with the frog from Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, aka Mayor Brown, or Montel William. What are the chances that American Eagle paid off some people to do fake outrage to draw up the numbers? That's always a possibility. Then got a bonus once the stock shot up. White birth rate down, Friedman birth rate up. Shields is a Zio boy crush crushed. And thank you for this one. I can't get over how much he looks like Mr. T, Sab. He been talking about opening the school for the past 15 years. Sorry, this happened to JB. Sabby, send him my best. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. All right, ladies and gents, we are out of here. I hope you have a great weekend. Catch me live on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Keep up the fight.